Doing research for this anniversary series has brought some occasional surprises, one of which was discussing one-time New Orleans TV personality Tommy George, better known as Chopsley to Morgus the Magnificent fans, was once an announcer at KTIB. What you are about to hear is one of the few times Tommy George spoke to the media since his fame as Chopsley. Here now is Oldies king Bob Walker with Tommy George from 1980 in a rare interview.
What's been going on with Chopsley since last time we heard from you, which has been a long time?
Well, that I cannot divulge at the moment.
Just out there somewhere. Nobody ever knows where Chopsley is, but he's out in the city somewhere. Well, Chopsley, let's see. The House of Shock first went on the air January 3rd, 1959. Is that correct?
That sounds about right.
And as I recall, the entire cast of characters, which is what they were, were Dr. Morgus and Chopsley, and Granny Morgus, and Eric.
Oh, we must not forget Eric.
Old Eric, the talk-a-call that used to say, "Yes, master." How's old Eric doing these days, Chopsley?
Oh, Eric is fine and well. As a matter of fact, I know where he is. But I can't tell you that.
Well, let's look at a little history of Chopsley right from the start. First of all, where in the world did Chopsley ever come from?
Well, Chopsley, the character, in reality is a 16th century executioner and was brought here to act as a watchdog for Morgus, brought from Europe by Granny Morgus and left as a watchdog. That's how he arrived on the scene.
Yeah, you mentioned Granny Morgus. I remember, she had the Morgus Presents show when the Channel 4 was showing the double features. They had the House of Shock first at 10:30, and then after that was Morgus Presents, and nobody was on Morgus Presents except Granny Morgus. Is that right?
Well, the Granny made one appearance on the Morgus show, and then picked it up and did the double feature late night thing.
Well, Chopsley, I know there had to be some wild and crazy things happen on the House of Shock set that the people just watching television weren't even aware of. Why don't you tell us some of the crazy things that happened?
Okay, well, in the early days, that was live, and I was bitten by a snake once on camera, and I'd been knocked around by an alligator that took a severe slap across the back once. I fell from a ladder about 12 feet up, and Morgus himself got shot with an arrow. It went in a couple of inches. We were being attacked by Indians for some unknown reason, and somebody missed the pad that he had on his back underneath the lab coat, and so he took an arrow about 2 inches in his back. Well, quite often we needed a walk-on, and if for some reason no one was available in the studio, or if there was somebody there that had been on so much before that people would recognize them, we'd go to the door leading out into the street, and we would watch people walking by and find one that looked good and said, "Hey, how'd you like to be on the Morgus show?" And bring the guy in the studio and a quick pep talk, and 2 minutes later he was on camera.
Chopsley from the House of Shock. You remember him. Chopsley, there was a movie that you and Dr. Morgus appeared in back in about 1959 or 60, I believe, somewhere up in there when you were really, really big. And it was called The Wacky World of Dr. Morgus. And I saw it in the show at the time, but it seems like it ran once, for a few weeks, and then nobody ever heard of it again. Whatever happened to that movie?
Well, it's still in the city. As a matter of fact, one of the producers, a gentleman named Jules Seven, has that film. And as I recall, it was a tremendous success within the viewing area of the TV station. But once you got out into northern Mississippi and areas beyond the TV viewing audience where people did not know who we were, it didn't mean anything, and consequently the movie was, it was a flop. But everywhere that it was shown where people knew who we were, it was a tremendous success. I don't know why it's never been shown on any of the local stations, but it's around. It's here in the city.
Well, I think it's really a shame that the movie's never been on TV, and it's just disappeared now for years and years, because the people that grew up watching Morgus and Chopsley would really enjoy to see it again. And, of course, we have a whole new generation of people coming up now who didn't grow up with you but have heard a lot about you and Morgus, and they'd probably enjoy seeing it themselves.
Well, I'm sure it would be successful, and just probably nobody ever thought of it. But it's here.
Tommy George, from the Old City Ice House to the KTIB studios, another discovery in KTIB history.